Truck. Wiggle out. Jump. Run. Somebody.
I'm scared.
I know. I'm gonna be there in your head talking to you the whole time.
Truck. Wiggle out. Jump when the truck slows down. Run. Somebody.
You all right?
Jack, listen to me. This is our chance.
Thank you for letting us do this interview. We're grateful to hear your story.
Thank you to everyone who sent their good thoughts and their prayers.
For 5 years, you made life in that small room, that prison, as nurturing and normal as you could.
So I guess my first question for you is when we're on our little phones and looking at that screen, are we in our own room?
Oh, that's interesting. I guess so, aren't we? It's interesting because I just got on social media for the first time and I've only been on it for maybe like 2 or 3 months, and I've noticed that like when you start looking at it, you do have your senses are not attuned to anything else that's around. You just become like involved in this thing and your relationships that are in this thing that are solely have nothing to do with the rest of reality. I think that Room does represent the movie itself as well, just like represents more of a mental representation of our lives, and that small space could be the difference between childhood and growing up, and just in general an expanded perception. That's the word. But what this film is at its center is a love story between mother and son. You watch them start off in situations that are very simple and sort of dark in some ways, but you need that darkness to propel them outwards into the world and into the complexity of life.
So how do you think, in our society now, because we're so glued to our devices, how do we combat agoraphobia and xenophobia to get out into the world?
That's everyone's personal choice. I don't know. I'm not writing a self-help book, but I would say, personally, I try and do my best to take breaks. I've heard friends call it an electronic fast, which I think is pretty funny. But just finding a way to tune out, because I think the stuff that's inside our heads is so interesting. And we find a lot of sneaky ways in order to stay away from looking at it. But even just taking an hour in the morning, just that hour, I do it every morning. Oh, it's pure bliss.
Talk to me about the power of a child's imagination. Because obviously we were both children. And
I wasn't. No. I have no idea what you're talking about.
But why is that so magical and so powerful, but also formative in how we interact as adults?
Well, there's a sense of wonder and innocence and ease because you're not fully comprehending all of the complexity that's going on in the world. And so there's this sense of, like when I was working with Jacob on set, we would talk all the time about if we could take whatever that was inside of him and bottle it and resell it, we would just be multi-billionaires, because nothing really sticks to him. Making a movie is really hard, just like I imagine anybody who's, in the daily grind of work. It's very taxing, and you can get very consumed in the day-to-day like dramas of things. But for him, it's not. And I also think you don't have as much memory to recall. As you get older and older, there's far more things that your brain's trying to go, is it like this, or was it like this before, or can I anticipate this sort of pain or this type of love? We start to have more to associate with, and so there's this beauty of a blank slate where everything is new. Everything is the first time. And so we don't have any preconceived notions as to what it should be, and we have no fears about it because we have nothing to attach it to. It's just awesome. So for Jacob, things like crying on screen was like, after he was done, he'd be like, yeah, this is so awesome. It didn't ever go like, oh, that reminds me of the time that my mom took my Lego away. It's 2 seconds later, it's gone. It's just a cool thing. It's a cool part of the human experience that you can feel all of these different things.
Refreshing for you as an actress just to be able to work with someone like that who doesn't have those kinds of like bad memories to recall how to cry and work that way?
Well, it keeps a movie like this that does have a serious undertone to it. It keeps it from being a place that you access for too long, because you can't. Every single scene I have is with him, so every moment of my day, you can't spend too much time really lingering on a dark scene that you did. You can't really get the chills from doing something that's dark because he's right there making a joke or singing and not understanding why anybody else would be emotionally affected by it because it's just play. For him, the way he describes making this movie was that he just played all day. And that is what we're doing. But because we're adults, we sort of understand more of that emotional depth, and it kind of can stick to us a little bit longer. But because I had him around, he was just like the light that sort of like bursts and cleared out any of those things.
Mom, I'm 5.
You're fine.
So old now.
You are so old now.
Yep.
Hey, do you know what we're gonna do today?
What?
We are going to bake a birthday cake. You chose to tell Jack that room was the whole world, that there was nothing else.
Good morning, lamp. Good morning, plant. Good morning, sink.
I wanted him to feel safe and that it was a great place for him to live.
Did you ever think you would be free? I hoped.
Hello, Jack. Thanks for saving our little girl.
Why is it important for kids to go play outside and not stay in their room?
It's important for a kid to go play outside so they get their healthy activities, and to be in that room it must be, because I'm a kid and kids always want to jump around and play a lot. So it must have been really hard for that kid to just like be in that room stuck and nothing where to jump. And I think that it's important for a kid to get out there. So if you play video games a lot, your brain will get mushed up and you do bad in school. So outside activities will help you get the stuff you need, like to run around. And so that's why kids eat candy a lot, because they know, oh, we're running around a lot, we'll just burn it off. So.
Do you think that, when you see adults, they're always glued to their phones, they're glued to their screens. Do you think that, in a way, that's kind of like a room in itself?
I don't think it's kind of a room in a room. I think because people are usually walking around on their phones, and sometimes I think that's kind of a bad idea. What if you accidentally walk into the road and a car comes and hits you? So I don't quite like it that much, but my mom and my dad don't usually spend time on our phone. We usually spend time as a family together. I mean, we usually watch movies together, and we usually go to Disneyland together, but we haven't done it yet, but I know for sure we're gonna do it soon.
What was the biggest lesson you learned making this movie?
Not to ever be shy to yell at someone that you're very friends with, because in a movie, well, never yell at your friend in real life, but in a movie it's fine to do that, because everyone will think you're actually doing a good job for it, but that's kind of weird, right? But it's actually a good thing. So I learned how to never be shy.
What do you think about Hollywood?
I love it. From my room, I can see the Hollywood sign. I can see a little bit of the city, and it's so warm here. I love it.
What do you think about the acting business, show business?
I love that too, because it's a really good thing for you to do, to kind of get to be another person, to see how other person's life would be. So you kind of, if you're an actor and you kind of like
Pretend to be other people?
Yeah, you pretend to be other people so other people are happy. You make other people laugh, you make other people cry, but that's kind of mean.
You made me cry.
Sorry.
What do you think about that?
I feel bad. You okay?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Last question. If you were going to describe what type of film this is, what type of movie is Room?
It's a sad drama. Sometimes it can make you laugh, but mostly it makes you cry. It's a sad drama that is really powerful, the music really makes you get it and kind of, you know, fall in love with the story about these two people who are family that were like raised in a room. I was raised in a room. Mom wasn't. She was 17, I guess, when she was kidnapped. So it's kind of a story that you really pay attention to when you're like, how are they gonna escape? Because it's really intense scene. So and it's violent and a drama.
Thank you so much. You were very good at the film.
Are we in another planet?
Mm-mm. Same one, just a different spot.
No matter how sweet the
I've been in the world 37 hours.
That's us.
we push.
I've seen windows and hundreds of cars and birds and grandma and grandpa.
Jack, someone here would like to meet you.
Will he find us?
No, he will never find us.
Everyone keeps asking, are we okay?
You have no idea what's going on in my head.
Yeah, well, try me.
And every time you look at me, that's all that you see?
When I look at you, Joy, I will see my daughter.
You're gonna love it.
What?
The world.